video details how to set a realistic budget, whether you're doing a new build or an extensive remodel. I have been designing houses for over 20 years. I have 3 or 4 years of flipping houses when I first started out as a real estate agent. And so I come from a perspective of knowing what you should be doing and not overbuilding, and the design perspective, how it'll look at the end of the projects. Setting a realistic budget when you're building a home is the most important stage and step in the process. Many clients and customers don't have any idea what it actually is. Lots of times they think it is one thing in their mind. They have a one number that they want to hit or be below, but oftentimes it's not inclusive of the scope of work that they're really wanting. My job, I found, in usually the first meeting, is what is your budget and is it realistic? So having those conversations first is really important to set up the job and the expectation of the finish that I am to specify. Most clients say, okay, this is where I need your help, Lindsay. I really need you to tell me if you think we can do it for X or Y or Z. And I have put together a spreadsheet that's interactive and user-friendly that you can click each of the different, from a high, medium, and a low standpoint of each of the different items for you to really input all the data and it spits out the total. This is where I find that it takes the pressure off of me to tell you exactly what the number is. And it helps you to be interactive in the process, to really be a part of it and say, okay, do I want a $1,000 sink fixture or do I want a $300 sink fixture? And then, of course, that opens the conversation up to me to say, okay, well, this is the pro, this is the con, this is the benefit of this. If you're wanting a kitchen that looks truly designed, how you can skimp and splurge, a kind of a high-low model on each of the different items. Once you start putting every single piece and part that is needed for your remodel in, you can see from a spreadsheet standpoint exactly where you're going to be really easily. What my job in that scenario is to make sure that you have a realistic expectation of what you will be spending, and then I have an idea of what type of finish you could actually attain by that specific budget. People throw out numbers all the time. They say, can I do my kitchen for $100,000? Quite simply, no. If you're going to have a kitchen designed, you're going to spend north of $200,000. You have to think about geographics. Most of my projects are in coastal communities, especially in Newport Beach. You cannot do a interior designed kitchen and spend less than $150,000, $175,000. The door style, all those things, stain grade versus paint grade, that's nominal at this point. If I do stain versus white cabinets or a painted cabinet, is it going to be less? Not really, no. If you have a specialty finish, it's going to be more. Anytime you do something custom or specialty, yes, it's going to be more expensive, but you can sometimes offset those costs if you say paint the perimeter and stain the island, or vice versa. There's things to value engineer, but you really need to know exactly what you're wanting to spend so I can make those suggestions for you based on your preferences. So scope of work is integral to the budget. Some houses in geographical areas where you just don't have a large home will obviously be less than the houses that have a larger home. Some people think, well, my house is so small, it can't be that much. Well, you're on the bayfront in Newport Beach. You have to be building to what a potential buyer, because I'm always thinking about how you can get out of something, even when I'm building for my client. My years in real estate showed me and taught me that, yes, even if you say that this is your forever home, I think we all know that things happen in the world. You might think one thing, and then the world might tell you something totally different. So I'm constantly thinking for my client about, okay, what if they sold this in 5 years? What if they sold this in 10 years? What are they going to get out of it? Are they building this as a forever home and they really want this because they really love it? Or is it too pigeonholed for their style and preferences versus the mainstream coming in to buy the house? If you build the house to rent it, you make different choices for each of those different scenarios. My job is really to navigate you through, okay, the scope of work is this. This spreadsheet doesn't lie when you are working with one. Geographic location drives your budget. You never want to underbuild, you don't want to overbuild, and you want to just find the sweet spot. So after you've set your budget based on length of stay in the home, actual use of the home, the geographical area of the home, and the scope of work, you have to have a contingency in place. 10% of your total budget should be allotted for moments where you have uh-ohs during the build. And just know that that 10% is already in your budget and it's already gone. My job as an interior designer is to manage your project, which means yes, I pick all the pretty things. Yes, I manage if you're paying for project management as a phase of the project. But for the most part, I am a huge advocate of yours for the budget and how you should spend your money. Relying on your interior designer is imperative because she's helping track the costs as you're spending them, and she can manage your project to make sure that it is within the scope of work, the design intent is there, and the budget. If they are thinking about selling the house in the next, 5 to 10 to 15 years, make sure you consult with a licensed realtor, real estate agent. Have them even come over. It's worth their time to come and tell you, hey, this is what is in the market. This is what your house looks like. This is what I could sell it for, just so you have an idea of what is out there and you're making informed decisions based on what your family needs. There's all different types of budgets I work with. There's all different types of clients I work with. One isn't better than the other. Sometimes it's a lot easier to work within, strict confines. Sometimes it's more fun creatively and artistically for me to work with a carte blanche budget. So I don't care what your budget is. I just want to make sure that when I'm finished with your project, you are happy, you got exactly what you wanted, we're within budget, and hopefully within the time constraints as well.